Andrew Bailey.
Thank you. I move that the question be now put.
Is Jan Logie spoken?
No. Jan Logie.
Mr. Chair, that was a great decision. And I'm happy to take a call on this, the committee stages of the so-called KiwiSaver budget measures bill, which has already been well canvassed, has very little meaning, conveys very little meaning to anyone. And I have several alternative titles for this bill that I'd like to explore in this House. So my first one is "It's working, so let's fix it" bill. Because actually we know that New Zealand has a massive problem with savings, or a lack of savings, and it's been much worse than what it is now. My colleague James Shaw has already mentioned that New Zealand is 22nd out of 24 countries in the OECD in terms of low levels of savings. So in international comparisons, we have a real problem. And this shows up quite significantly in our current accounts deficit. It also, we've seen it in terms of over time in New Zealand. The House might be interested to know that household savings per capita in 1992 were $752, which isn't particularly high. But you might be even more interested to know that in 2006, before KiwiSaver was brought in, the household savings per capita was negative $1,359. We were in a crisis in terms of household debt at that point, which is what triggered the introduction, I would understand, I wasn't really involved at that time, but the introduction of KiwiSaver. And now, since we've had KiwiSaver, the levels of household savings are up to $627 per capita. So we're not even back to the point we were at in 1992, which does, for me, I have some ambivalence over KiwiSaver. And I will admit that up front, because we live in such an incredibly unequal society where so many people are surviving well below the breadline in poverty. We know 250,000 children in poverty. And we know that so many workers, majority of whom are women, Māori, Pacifica and migrant workers, are in precarious work living below that poverty line as well. That 2 out of 5 children in poverty are in families of working families. And so in that context, KiwiSaver as a voluntary scheme, or even worse if it was a compulsory one, when people are struggling to put food on the table, KiwiSaver actually exacerbates inequality in some ways, because those who are earning the most are able to contribute the most and get more contributions from their employers. So their KiwiSaver savings go up. And that's good for our current account deficits, that's good for our household capital accumulation, but it's not necessarily good for addressing inequality. However, this $1,000 Kickstart incentive actually is something that goes right across the board in terms of that universalism, and is available to workers who can't necessarily afford, who can't sacrifice food on the table to make weekly contributions for their future well-being. And it is available to beneficiaries and children of beneficiaries who we want to have the chance to get a leg up. And so this is really choosing this mechanism to remove this is actually the worst possible thing that the government could do in relation to KiwiSaver's impact on addressing inequality. Another idea I had for this bill was following on from the rather hilarious contribution, I thought, from the New Zealand First member, where they suggested this could be renamed OMG YOLO No Future Bill. I had to be able to say that out loud. It was a pure moment in the House for me. But I would suggest that another possibility for this could be renamed the Boom, Your Incentive is Gone Bill. Sorry, I didn't quite manage to carry that off. Boom. No, I still can't carry it off. But the point is real. Like, this has come out of nowhere. And I've heard from people just on my Facebook thread where they were in the process, Mr. Chair. You wouldn't make me end on that.
I move that the question be now put.
Yes, I think there's been a reasonable amount of discussion on this, and I think the House is in a position to decide whether or not it wants to put the question. The question is that the question be now put. Those who are of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary opinion will say no. The noes have it. A party vote called for. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
32 votes opposed.
Green Party.
13 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
12 votes opposed.
Maori Party.
2 votes in favour.
Act New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Any other votes?
The question is that the question be now put. Those are of that opinion are 63 and the noes are 57. The question will be put. There have been, I understand, 2 amendments tabled to this. The first in the name of Ian Lees Galloway in clause 1 to delay budget measures and replace with cut number 8. I'm ruling that out of order as not being a serious amendment or a serious title. And
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
The member's not going to dispute my ruling, is he?
Let's seek some clarification. Yeah, why? Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you hearing this point of order. I would like some clarification about why you believe that's not a serious amendment to the title. Yeah, why? Yeah.